All right, everyone. Welcome to the third installment of our live series, Who Invited Climate Change to the Cookout? And if you missed parts one and two, go over to we're talking with the team about why climate change matters right now and four simple ways we're fighting climate change in our own homes. Today, we are here with Ray, Jessica, Danny, and me, Lori Kim. And we're going to just each go around and talk about ourselves to introduce ourselves. So, without further ado, Jessica, would you like to start?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Jessica. I'm the Director of Program Innovation here at Afro-Vegan Society, and I went vegan in 2016. And since it's Earth Month, one thing that I love about the natural world is the beach. I love the beach. I'm a beach girl. I wish I could live on the beach.
Mm, yes, I love the beach too. What about
I
you,
second
Danny?
that. Yes, I second that, Jess. And my name is Danny. I am the director of social media and marketing. And I went vegan. I'll be celebrating 10 years in July. And my favorite thing about the natural world is being able to hug trees.
Mm, yes, I love hugging a tree. And
Yes.
Ray,
You're
oh, you're
muted
on
right
mute,
Oh,
Ray.
Sorry. Hi, guys. I'm
Mm,
Ray. I'm operations director here. I am 10 years vegan. What I love, see, I like the water too, but I'm really scared of bugs. So I like being in the water sometimes or going out to the water. But when it's summer and the bugs are out, sometimes I just enjoy the water in the shower. So I'll just have to say, like, if we're talking summertime, because we're approaching summertime soon, I like how nature just brings in those nice rains and you can just relax and get that breeze and it just comforts you and soothes you. And that's like a free relaxation pampering thing that you don't have to pay for. So I enjoy that.
yes, I love that. Well, I love everything y'all said. But to introduce myself, I am Lori Kim. I'm ongoing program manager here at Afro-Vegan Society. I went vegan 30 years ago. And the thing that I love about the natural world is honestly just everything. How I love how easy it is to actually connect in the natural world. If honestly, when we really think about it, the natural world is all around us. And so if you stop to just look, it might be a tree that's growing on the block, or just some grass at the park. There's always something there for me. So I just love that. But today, we're talking about, climate change and really what is happening to our natural world, right? So we're just going to jump right into it. And let me just quickly pull up my notes for y'all here. Um, One thing that we'd love to hear is where you all are coming from. Also, just check in, if you're viewing this right now, put in the chats. Where are you coming from today? How are you feeling today? And we also have a giveaway for you. So, one thing that we'd love to hear from you about, if you're interested in our giveaway, is your favorite earth friendly hack. And to talk about our giveaway today, sorry, say it again. Uh oh. Did my internet go out?
no,
Say one
you're
more time.
fine. She's muted.
Oh, okay. So Danny, I think you have some of the products that will be given away today.
Oh, yes. Yes. This is our tote.
Yes. Look at
Yeah.
how cool that is. I want
That's dope,
one.
right? Yeah,
I
it's
don't have
really
mine
dope.
yet. Yes. And Ray, you have something too.
I do, y'all. So if you missed last week's live where we talked about recycling bumps mix, we introduced our water bottles. So here's one, and here's the other. They both are 20 ounces, non-plastic, of course. Ting. So yeah, we have these available, and also we have a tote that's available as well, which I will get for you soon at the break. But yeah, so we have those available for winners. And if you don't happen to win, we have a sale going on, 20% off for Earth Month in celebration of it. So make sure you get over to our website. Not only do we have the tote bags and the cups, we have plenty of other merch that's really cool and branded with our lovely logo. So make sure you check that out.
Yes, thank you so much. Hey there, Bernadette. Hey there, Adam. And we got Brenda Sanders, our executive director, in the chat as well. What's up, Brenda? And yes, bumblebees are so cute. I love their little fuzzy butts. You heard it first. Bumblebees are one of Brenda's recent obsessions. Um, so moving on through, we're gonna also just kind of talk a little bit today about some of the things that we are doing to really be more climate conscious, right? They're just really simple things that either you can make at home or products that you can just swap out. So we'll start off with Ray. You were saying that one of the things that you love to do is something that really helps you at home, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So with me, I love things that, coming into a home and having it, smell good, different types of scents. Now, I'm one of those people that like the deep scents, like your sandalwoods, frankincense, myrrhs, things like that. I don't really like the fruity scents, but I like the hearty, earthy type of scents. So they soothe my soul. There's a lot of things to consider climate wise. However, when we're thinking about how we want to have our home smell pleasant, and the first thing that many people think about, of course, like a quick fix is a candle, right? But here's the thing: when we're talking about climate change, a lot of commercial candles, a lot of the popular ones, whether it's high end or even like on the low end, all alike, they contain paraffin. Paraffin is a very common ingredient that are in the candles, and that's a petroleum based product. And that puts a lot of toxins in the air. And when you're lighting them and you have your wicks in your house, not only if you're lighting the wicks, you have soot that's circulating in your house, but it's also contributing to the indoor pollution. And not only is it doing damage to the environment, it's also doing a lot of damage to your body. So thinking about some ways that we can not only be helpful to ourselves, but also helpful to the environment, I do have some suggestions. Okay. Another popular way that people use to scent their homes are like the oil plugins. Oil plugins tend to have what's called volatile compounds in them. And just like the petroleum that's in the candles, they have harsh ingredients as well that, when inhaled, can be dangerous to your body. Some can have cancerous ingredients in them. And, if you're having these going on throughout your house, you're inhaling them. So one way that you can still have your home smell good is you can take one of those plugins. You can even buy some of them online, or you can get like the cheap plug-in containers and just dump that nasty oil out and make your own. I tend to make my own and plug them in around the house. So here is a jar of one of them, and I'm going to do a quick demo for you. Now it's really, really simple. Okay. So here's one that still has the wick in there. All you need is something like some scissors or some tweezers. And what you would do is take this plastic part off, and you see that has the used wick in there. So you will peel this off of the container. It's really easy to do. You can get these wicks from dollar stores, like for crafts or anything like that, or you can go online and purchase them. You can get a good amount for relatively cheap. So you have these wicks, and you would just trim it based on, just based on the size of the container that you're using. So you would trim that down, and then you would take the container lid that you peeled off here, and it has that used wick, and it's really simple to peel off. There is a rod that you'll likely find in there that's keeping the wick in place. You just peel that little rod out, take your used wick out like that, and you would rinse this out, and then you would slide in your wick, and again, you would trim it as needed here. So that's the assembly part, right? Simple enough. Now, what are you going to put in there? Okay. So you can do a few things. You want to put an essential oil or essential oils in there, ones that you like, since that appeal to you. You can do different ones for different rooms. However, you can't just put the essential oil by itself in there. One, because that's expensive, and we're kind of defeating the purpose if we want to be cost friendly and climate friendly. So you can do essential oils, but you need a carrier oil, and the carrier oil is going to be the primary base of what you use. And the purpose of the carrier oil is to basically highlight whatever that you have in there. You want to have a non-flammable carrier oil because you don't want to burn up while you're trying to smell good. Okay. So you get a carrier oil like jojoba oil, or I like to use sweet almond oil. Both of these are relatively cheap. I believe the almond oil will be your best bet if you want to choose between the two. So I like to use that. It has a very mild scent, and you would pour that into your plug-in, and you would probably do about halfway or a little less, because we're not going to fill these all the way to the top. We're just going to get enough in there to take care of the work. So I poured this about halfway, and then again, here comes the fun part. Just like you're cooking in the kitchen, you get to cook it up for your scents for your home. So you can do any type of flavors that you want as far as the essential oils are concerned. Now, if I were doing this for, let's say, my bedroom, I might do like eucalyptus and a lemongrass combination, because that'll be kind of soothing and help with sleep. Or you could do something like lavender and a eucalyptus or something like that. Lavender and peppermint. You can use those, any type of things. This particular one that I'm doing, I'm going to do for the kitchen. So I am going to use nutmeg and orange, and I'm going to put those in there. Now, typically, if you were only doing one oil, you do about 15 to 20 drops. But because I would be combining these, I'm going to split the 15 to 20 drops between the two. And it's just that simple. And then once you have that together, you would put the wick back in there with the pin. Make sure you put the pin in there in the side, and then that would give you your plug-in, and you would just plug it in as normal, and you can leave it. Again, because these are non-flammable carrier oils, you'll be safe to have it plugged in just as you would have any other plug-in. So that's one way. Okay. I want to give you another way. So like we mentioned, a lot of candles have paraffin in them, and that's toxic. If you're still like, I love my candles, you want to look for things that may be like coconut or soy based. For those, you have to be careful with that, because some may boast that they're soy based, but they will be a combination of soy and paraffin. So just be aware of who you're purchasing them from, the ingredients involved. If you're buying them from a small business, which would be awesome, you definitely want to touch base and say, are these soy based? Just to make sure that you're not breathing in any toxic ingredients when you're burning these candles. You could also get, instead of burning the wick, you can get one of those electric warmers that you plug in and put the candle on there. So that way you're not having any soot in the air from the wick, and the candle is able to melt. And then you turn it off and turn it back on when you want to burn it again. That's way number 2. Another option is if you have a vendor that makes the wax melts, and again, same rules, you want to make sure that it doesn't have any type of paraffin in there, but you can get like the wax melts, and you can get these tinfoil little cup holders, from anywhere. This is foil based. And you have something here, like you see with this, and you would just put your wax melt in there, and you would put it on top. And because of that light, these are lights in the bottom, and they heat the ceramic lid on there. You put that in there, and the wax melt will go ahead and burn, and it scents your house, and it smells lovely. It definitely fills the home. The throw on these, you would be surprised what a little cube can do. So yeah, those were different options for ways that you can scent your home, and you can bring yourself some joy, not only in knowing that your home smells good, but you're also not damaging the environment and putting in pollutants in the air or in your body.
That was amazing. Thank you so much. I was just wrapped with attention because I have to say that is something that I would have never thought of. I think so many of us probably have those and throw it out. I saw Miss Bernadette in here. It's always so good to see you come through, Bernadette, where, you're saying that another option is orange study with clove, easy and cheap. Definitely, I remember doing that as a child, and loving that. So that's something you can also do with your children. Thanks so much for that, Ray. And I think that one of the things we were talking about during part two, and also a little bit in part one too, around how you can just keep reusing things to make sure that you're not producing more waste and just buying more products, right? Making that production something that is taxing us, planetary wide. So, Danny, you have another reusable product, right?
Yeah, so I wanted to talk about reusables in general because I try to not only I try to just think about reusables in general when it comes to even like when my children were first born, we were using cloth diapers, and even like when it comes to feminine products, I try to use reusable things. But one of my favorite, which I already showed, are reusable tote bags. I have this one from Afro-Vegan Society, Afro-Vegans Unite, and we do have a few different designs outside of this one, but these are great to bring to the grocery store too. And not just, I mean, I think some people only think about bringing these to the grocery store, but you can also bring this while you're shopping at Target or shopping for clothing or shoe shopping or whatever you're shopping for, and you're going to be putting things in a bag. You can always refuse the plastic bag and take this with you. So just some facts to let you know about plastic bags. Worldwide, we use about 5 trillion bags per year. And in America, each American uses an average of 365 plastic bags per year. And all of these bags end up in a landfill, or sometimes not even doesn't even get to the landfill. It goes in the oceans, it's in our streets, it's everywhere. And it takes 1,000 years for one bag to decompose. And so in order for us to try to reduce this, which I know we've been seeing, I mean, I'm sure in most areas now across the country, they are starting to charge for bags. And that is an initiative to help to reduce the amount of bags that's being used and consumed. So we definitely urge you to grab some reusable bags and start taking them to the grocery store so you can, or farmer's market, or wherever you're going, so that you can have something to reuse instead of using a plastic bag. Something else I like to reuse, which Ray had pointed out, we have the Afro-Vegan Society water bottles, but I have two types of water bottles. I got one with a straw, one that I use for the gym, and these are great. And to have, what I love about these type of reusable bottles, which is just like the Afro-Vegan Society ones, is they are stainless steel. They keep your beverages cold or warm depending upon what you're drinking. So I love that. And then another thing is anything that comes in glass, anything. If it's pasta sauce, if it's coconut oil, if it's something that comes in a jar like this, I'm definitely keeping the jar and using it for something. Usually I use it for something in my pantry. I also like to use this as a way to give people food or give people gifts or any type of thing that I want to exchange with someone else. I tend to go for a jar, and because for one, if I bought something and it was in it, it's basically a free package that I can use to give to someone else. So definitely hold on to your jars, reuse them. I like to store my beans or lentils, nuts, things like that in jars. Or if I'm juicing, I'll put juice in here, or every day I drink a smoothie out of this jar. So there's so many ways to use glass jars. And from what Lori Kim shared with us last week on our live about recyclables is that glass is infinitely recyclable. So this is definitely a great option to go to. Like if you're shopping for things, go for the thing that is sold in glass over what's sold in plastic. So so I love this. But as a reminder, we do have the Afro Vegans Unite bag on our website if you go to afrovegansociety.org. And also we are running and there's the other one. Ray is holding up the other Afro-Vegan Society bag that we have. And we're having an Earth Month sale where you get 20% off our entire store. So go ahead and grab you a tote, a t-shirt, a reusable bag so you can, definitely rep your Afro-Vegan Society merch, and you're getting 20% off using the code ECOAVS20. All right. So that is how I use my recyclables, and I encourage you all to find ways to use more recyclables on your day-to-day.
Yes, that's a really great idea. Yeah, I see here, Brenda also saying that. And, the truth is, not only is glass infinitely recyclable, but it is really easy to sterilize glass, right? It's much more easy to sterilize glass than it is plastic. You never know if the plastic is going to melt. So just consider that as well. Sometimes in a pinch, I use glass, kind of Tupperware to keep leftovers, but you can also use a glass jar. And when I do that, I find that I can fit more stuff in my fridge.
Yes, because it's
So,
taller. Yeah.
exactly, exactly. So also let us know your earth-friendly hacks. When you put that in the chat, we're gonna randomly select someone to win a gift. We've got some Dr. Bronner's products for you as well. So just consider that. Put it in the chat. Let us know. But next up, we've got Jessica. Jessica, what are you doing?
Okay, so I'm going to be showing how to use or reuse some plastic because I feel like plastic is unavoidable to a certain extent in our day-to-day life. There are ways to work around it and certainly reduce our consumption of plastic, but it's everywhere. And so part of living in the world we live in now is learning to live with plastic in a way that's not going to be as harmful to the environment. And so I want to show you how to plant herbs in your kitchen by reusing some plastic. So I'm sure we've all seen the salad bins at the grocery store. These are the 1 pound salad bins. And oftentimes this is usually the best deal. Like this is usually like $5 or even $3.50 sometimes, depending on what grocery store I'm shopping at. So this is a great way to get ready to eat greens, but then what do you do with this when it's done? So one thing you can do is reuse this as a container to plant herbs in your kitchen or in your home. So it's just a few short steps. So it comes with the lid. We're going to be using the lid by just taking it off. And this is what's going to catch excess water so that our container can drain. And so to start off, all we're going to do is just put this upside down and then take a knife and very, very carefully poke some holes. Okay. Or not. I usually use a metal knife. This is ceramic. So I just need to score it a little bit. But y'all get the gist. Put holes in the bottom of your thing, right? I'm not going to hurt myself in the process. I'm a little clumsy to be doing this on camera. Okay. So we have that. And then all you need is soil. I got some organic potting mix that I got from probably either Big Lots or Ollie's. Those are like 2 discount stores that we have in the area I live in. So it was like $5 for a bag of soil, and I use it for my house plants. And so, as you can see, it's not filling up my whole container, but you don't need that much soil because the roots on the plants or the seeds I'm going to be planting today aren't really that deep. So I'm just finishing off this bag. And then I'm prone to making messes, so I'm using a bamboo spoon to like break this down and mix it up. But you do want to get this a little bit moist. My soil is really dry. So this is also a jar that I reuse. But I'm just going to pour some water in here to get our soil moist. Okay. And I'm going to let that start to absorb some of the liquid in here and let that dirt settle a little bit. And while that's happening, I'm just going to show you the seeds. So I actually picked these up at Aldi the last time I went. They usually have like seasonal, limited time products in their store. And so one of the things they had one of the last times I went was herb seeds. So they had lemon balm, sweet basil, and chives. And these were only 59 cents a pack. So really inexpensive. But I know you can get seeds at like dollar stores too. They often sell them at hardware stores. You can get seeds a lot of places. But one suggestion I would make is when you look at the back, there's usually like planting and harvesting instructions. So look for plants that complement each other, need the similar amount of sun, need similar watering if you're going to be planting multiple types of seeds in the same container. But yeah, so that's what I've got here. So I'm just going to put 3 little sections of seeds in here. And it's really that simple. You just basically put your soil in, water your soil, water as directed from the seeds. And then you want to put it next to a sunny window. If you don't have a sunny window or if you have a dark apartment like I do, I have a lamp. I'll put it under a lamp for a few hours a day just to make sure it's getting enough light so that the herbs will grow. But another way that this fights waste, in addition to reusing this plastic here, is also that herbs are something that honestly end up going bad in my fridge because they're cut. Once they're cut, they start to die quickly. And so we're always trying to find ways to make them last longer, put them in a glass jar in water, wrap the base, all these different things you try to do to keep them alive longer. But one of the best ways to have herbs that live a long time is to grow them yourself. And so you're cutting down your food waste as well by growing your own herbs, in addition to cutting down on plastic waste. And it's less expensive. This is 59 cents. And for example, one of these plants said that basically you can harvest for 6 weeks off of one pack of seeds. So wow. It lasts a long time, like versus spending $1 every week on basil or $3 every week on basil, that adds up versus like planting your own plant, nurturing it a little bit, and then for 59 cents and some soil in a reusable container and water, and whatever it costs to have your light bulb on that's probably going to be on anyway, you can have herbs for 6 weeks at a time. So it saves money, and that is a great way to cut down on waste too. So I'm just going to put little rows here. You can use like little popsicle sticks or something to mark what's what, so you have little plots. But you can usually tell that they look different. They smell different. And I like to combine herbs anyway. I like to just take a handful of different kinds of herbs and chop them up and throw them in my salads or in pastas anyway. So I like combining different herbs together in my cooking regardless. But yeah, that's just how simple it is. It almost doesn't require a demo, but I figured I'd show you how to do it because when I learned how to do this, I said this is a super smart usage. And also another thing you can do is if you have another lid, you can put it on top and it creates somewhat of a greenhouse effect as well. So that can kind of like push the growth forward that much more if you need that to get your seeds germinating a little bit faster. So yeah, its own little self-contained ecosystem right here to make some basil and herbs. I also like growing cilantro and parsley. Those are probably my most used herbs in my cooking and stuff. So I love growing those, and those are really sturdy and really resilient plants as well. But yeah, my little herb garden DIY. So next time, don't throw away your plastic bin. Place some seeds in it.
So just with
I
the
love
lid,
that.
do you poke holes in the top lid if you put it on top too?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And you can also use like something else, a different piece of plastic, because you still want to put something underneath it so it has something to drain onto. I don't use saran wrap, but I guess if you already have saran wrap in your home, you could in theory do that. But this is about like reusing plastic as opposed to adding plastic on plastic to accomplish this, but yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
You could use cheesecloth too, if
Okay.
if you have that, a tea towel, that kind of stuff. I know Danny, you cook a lot. You use a lot of fresh herbs
I
in your
do.
cooking.
Yeah, now that it's getting warmer, I'm looking forward to doing exactly what Jess just did and planting some herbs.
Hmm.
Because I actually, so I have this, my aunt gave me a huge Tupperware bin that it doesn't fit in any of my closets. It just, I can't store it anywhere. And I'm like, I don't want to just get rid of it. So I'm actually going to turn it into a raised bed. So basically what Jess just did, but like 10 times bigger.
Mm.
Right.
Yeah. So
Oh, I
instead of
love
like
that
a little
idea.
container, it's like a huge bin. So yeah, so I was thinking like it's already outside, and so I'm basically gonna replicate just what she did with I'm
Nice.
gonna do some herbs, but I think I'm also gonna do things like tomatoes and maybe some
Mhm.
cucumbers and things like that.
Nice.
Mm, I love that. I love that. And honestly, y'all, like one thing that we forget is that, herbs are actually what grow like weeds because that's what weeds are.
Yeah.
And so, they're really, really easy to grow. And just as Jessica said, pick something that you're actually gonna cook with, right?
Hmm.
That you're actually gonna use. I
Mhm.
love that you found lemon balm seeds. Those are rare.
Mhm.
I see, again, Miss Bernadette in the chat says that I reuse glass jars and use silicone sleeves to
Mm.
prevent breakage. And you can get matching lids. Now, I did not know you could get matching lids. I have heard of the silicone sleeves. I love that. And silicone is actually a great way to have a reusable product that is not plastic, right? Brenda said, just trying to have me farming in my house. Yes, I think that we all should try this.
We all
Mhm.
should,
You know, there's
absolutely.
right. There's nothing like eating your own food
Yes.
that you grew. So, well, I'm the last one to go, and I don't have much to show you except for my toothbrush. I have a toothbrush that is actually recyclable, and you're probably like, oh. So there's like used toothbrushes out there. um, so let me explain. This company actually uses recycled plastic to make the toothbrush and the bristles, but doesn't actually recycle the toothbrushes in a way that would be unhygienic. And what is wonderful about this company is that they also will give you a discount. So for every certain amount of toothbrushes that you send into them, that you send them back, they will give you a $5 discount on their products. This company is called Preserve. And let me just hold it up again. They have, all your same types of toothbrushes that you would see in a conventional toothbrush. So they have from extra soft to medium. I've never seen a hard toothbrush, but I hear that that's not actually what you should be using on your teeth anyway. It can strip your enamel. So I always use a soft toothbrush. My friend who was in dental school told me about that. And so this company, all of their products, they have all different types of products, but I mostly use their toothbrushes and their razors. A lot of us may think about, disposable razors, but those have to go somewhere. And I don't know if y'all realize, but a lot of the plastic that is found in the ocean comes from toothbrushes, disposable razors, all of these small plastic items that can fall out of a bag on the way to the landfill, that can fall out of a bag on the way to recycling, right? So let's think about these, other options. One of the reasons why we're showing you what we do in our own homes is because there are really so many options that we can do to just switch out, right? Switch out the types of products that we're using. It's not just about reusing products, but thinking about the production line of the products, right? And I don't know about y'all, but some of the toothbrushes that are sold now, have all these like wonderful claims XYZ, but they all do the same thing, which is brush your teeth. That's it. There also a different type of toothbrush that you can use that is very eco-friendly. You can even compost this type of toothbrush, and it is a bamboo toothbrush. Now, I wanted to bring mine. I could not find it. But I think, Danny, you said you had one. Oh, you got one, Jessica. I love it. Yes. And one thing that is really cool, you see that Jessica's has like little colors on it. Some of them have rainbow bristles. Some of them have charcoal bristles. So you can find an all plant-based toothbrush out there. There are bamboo toothbrushes. Bamboo is highly sustainable product. And, oftentimes the bristles are made of plant-based products as well. Some of these bristles on the bamboo toothbrushes are plastic. So you want to kind of look out for that. But these are just like very easy fixes, and they're cheap too. I've found bamboo toothbrushes for less than $10 for 6 or 7 toothbrushes. So think about that. If you're using a toothbrush for a couple months, that's really economical compared to a conventional toothbrush. So, we're talking about these things because we realize that there's significant impact specifically for Black people right now across the planet. So we really want to talk about some of the things that, that we're seeing right now. A lot of us may be kind of confused about, why is everybody even talking about climate change? Is this a bandwagon that we jumping on? So let's just get into it a little bit. So who here would like to start when we start to talk about some of what we're seeing right now?
I'll go.
Yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as we all have probably experienced, like these winters are starting to feel a lot warmer. And I even remember this past summer, it seemed like it took longer for it to get hot. It was like June, and I was still wearing a little hoodie or something. And it was just like, this weather
Mm-hmm.
is getting real wonky, real crazy. Um, so 2016 to 2020 was the hottest years to record since the 1850s. And then this past February was the hottest February since I think it's 1940. So clearly there are shifts that are happening, changes that are happening within our environment, our atmosphere. And another big issue is the increase in rainfall. So when the global temperatures rise, the atmosphere has more, a bigger ability to absorb more water. So then that in turn creates more rain. And then, but you may be thinking, well, how does more rain hurt us? Well, it could lead to crop damage, which obviously we need our crops because this is how we are eating unless we're growing our own food. And even if we're growing our own food, having too much rain is going to ruin your crops. And then from there it can lead to things like flooding that can then turn to, like mudslides and or just people getting injured, people getting hurt because of flooding. So there's just a lot of issues that are going on with temperatures not staying the same, and then things being there's a residual effect from that. Even like the snow caps are melting, and so then the water in the ocean is rising, which can then in turn affect coastal cities. They've said that in like, I don't know how many years, maybe a couple decades, South Florida is going to be underwater, and maybe even parts of California and things like that. So this is just some of the effects that are happening due to global warming and the changes in our environment. And all of this that comes down to how we're treating the environment, the things that we just mentioned as far as what we're doing to impact climate change in our home is just four of many ways that we can change our daily habits to, at least help the environment start to heal itself and reverse. Because if we really all just kind of stopped and paused for a second and started to do the right thing, we would see the earth start to come back to some normalcy, and we would have regular temperatures around the year and know what to expect. But if we keep going in this direction, we're only going to see things to increasingly get worse, unfortunately. So that's why we're having this type of conversation, because it's just like, this is not just something to think about for Earth Month. It's not just like, oh yeah, bring your reusable bottles, and it's not like, it's really not a game. It's like, it's something that we really have to think about and take seriously, or else within our lifetime, like Lori Kim has mentioned to us, I believe it was either, if it wasn't last live, it was the live before, where within our lifetime, we can see the effects of this. This is not something that is generations to come. This is, the time is now. So if you want to get back to seeing the climate feel like the way it's supposed to be, not too much rain, just enough, warm winters, cold winters and warm summers, and true, I feel like also in this area, I'm in the DC Baltimore area, and I feel like when it's springtime and when it's summertime, or spring and fall, it's like we don't really have a true spring or fall. It's just kind of like either cold. It's just like this tennis match between cold and hot. So you don't even know like how to dress, because some days it's gonna be hot and then next week it's gonna be cold again, before it actually warms up for
Hmm.
the summer. So yeah, so we gotta take this serious, y'all. But yeah, just by, I think, looking at the weather, seeing more cyclones, hurricanes are getting more dangerous. And it's all because of the temperatures. And then I can only imagine that, like, going back to the conversation about snow caps melting and things like that, how is that affecting the animals that live in that environment and need that environment to thrive? I have no idea, but I know that when things are not in balance and as they should, then it's a trickle down effect for everybody involved, not just us as humans, but definitely the animals that we share this planet with. So, yeah, this is a call to action to definitely take these tips serious, what we're sharing, and find ways that you can slowly start to be more mindful of the carbon footprint and the environmental impact that your daily activities are have towards the environment and the climate.
Mhm.
Hmm. Thanks so much for that, Danny. And Ray, I think we were talking about this,
Mhm.
the other day, and like how it relates to pretty much everything,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, for sure. It's all connected. And these days, like if you ask someone what climate change means to them, you're likely to get like several answers, but most commonly you'll hear complaints about how like in one day you could need like three different outfit changes fitting three different seasons, right? We like to joke about how the weather is, but let's talk about some of the other things that we're cussing and fussing about these days. So there's wildfires. Does climate change create wildfires? No. But what keeps them burning longer are the warmer temps. And you've got severe drought conditions, and these keep the lands dry and more flammable. And it seems like, we're looking at news reports and they're becoming more and more frequent of how wildfires are burning. And even if you're not in areas near where that's being affected, you just happen to look at the devastation on TV. You just hear about the devastation that's happening, and people are losing homes, and communities are being destroyed left and right because of the raging wildfires. And again, they're increasing and increasing and increasing. Another thing, hitting closer to home. Let's just say your area is not affected by wildfires. Let's talk about allergies, right? Have you noticed vehicles riding around looking that dusty yellow a lot earlier this year? Or what about those like popular allergy symptoms that make you want to like take your face off? They're starting to appear earlier with the seasons as well. The change in climate is presenting us with milder winters and earlier warming periods. And this is causing plants to produce pollen for longer periods of time. And it's having us out here with more I choose than our patients can allow for bless yous. Because, you keep achoo, and they're like, I'm going to say bless you one more time. And you're just going to have to take that for the rest of the day. But, allergies are driving us crazy. And the time period for the suffering of them is starting a lot earlier now with the changes in climate. Let's talk about recreation. With the increase in temperatures, especially during the summer months, it has many of us like adjusting our plans around times when we think it won't be as hot out, right? We're trying to fit like a whole day's worth of errands into like a mid AM, super early PM type of hours before it gets too hot outside. So you're trying to like hit the post office, go to the market, go drop off something, go pick this up, go shop it here. And then it's like by 1 PM, you're starting to melt and you're like, whatever I didn't get done, I have to get done another day. Or I have to get done when the sun goes down, right? So it's like we're fitting our life against these things because it's just starting to get hotter and hotter and hotter out. We're paying more attention to heat advisory warnings now than we may have been in the last few years because people are passing out in the streets left and right nowadays. Like before, if we hear of someone being hospitalized from heat stroke, or the ambulance has to come get them or take care of somebody on the corner because of heat stroke, we've like assumed that person was just being foolish and standing around or walking out in the sun for hours, right? But nowadays people could just walk to the store and it wouldn't even be a surprise about hearing somebody laid out in the street just because they walked 2 blocks in the sun. They're laid out in the cement just because they took a quick walk. It's just the temperatures are hotter, the sun is hotter, everything's more extreme. All right. So we talked about wildfires, and you're like, oh, I don't live on the area where I'm affected by wildfires. Then we talked about allergies. Oh, whatever, I can get me some Claritin or something like that. And we talked about recreation, like, oh, whatever, I'll just plan my stuff in the evenings. All right. So you think you're ducking and dodging and climate change is really not on your radar. Let's talk about something where everyone is affected, and that's food. So the changes in temperature, they're changing the duration of the crop growing seasons. And that's lengthening the time for the crop maturation. So while you have these crops that are taking longer to grow, you have to consider that there's air pollution that these crops are being consistently exposed to. And there's ground level ozone that makes those crops more susceptible to diseases. In addition to that, you've got insects that are helping themselves to healthy portions of these crops. And again, these crops are slow growing. So that's more time for the insects to get to them and start destroying those crops. And then what do the farmers do to reduce the amount of damage to their crops so they can actually make some profit? They want to start using pesticides. So they're using more and more pesticides to try and like offset the damage that these bugs are reaping. So you have that leading out there. And then let's not forget, whatever they're not able to salvage, that starts leading to food shortages. Whatever is saved by these farmers, it's probably having heavy pesticides, laden with heavy pesticides. They're trying to reap what they've sown. And so with this, now your beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes have about 11 types of strong chemicals on them, right? And then so let's look at this. Like simply put, you've got climate change affecting temperatures, affecting crop production, affecting the availability of food, which leads to inflation, and that hits everyone's pockets. But especially it makes it hard for urban communities because not only do they have to deal with food deserts where access to like nutritious and sustainable food is rarely accessible, but now they're also finding the food they actually are able to obtain is barely affordable. And that, again, it affects everyone. Food shortages affects everyone. Rising grocery prices affects everyone. Everyone is suffering. So if you didn't find any ways that climate change might be threatening things in the beginning, I know it's definitely got to hit home when we're talking about food, right? So in referencing the struggle, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Jess so we can talk about low resilience in urban areas.
Sure. Thanks, Ray. I really appreciate how you connected the food shortages and how it exacerbates like food injustice issues that are experienced in marginalized communities. And climate change is also severely like worsening the impacts of environmental injustice in marginalized communities and communities where we live. Black people live more, for the most part, in urban areas. Like in this country, we are mainly populated in urban areas. And so the impacts of climate change are disproportionately impacting communities of color, low impact communities who don't have access to as many resources. And it's not just by happenstance. This is an institutional systemic thing that's happening. Like it's very intentional. It's very much designed. And so give me 1 second. I want to share a clip because I was actually like watching different videos about like environmental injustice and climate justice, thinking about this discussion we were going to have. And I came across a clip that I thought was very succinct in kind of summarizing like how bad is environmental justice. So it's a clip, I think, from a news show. It's like one of those comedy news shows. I'm gonna pull it up and share with y'all. Give me 1 second. Let's see, share screen. Oh. Okay, took me a second to pull it up, but I got it now. Let's see. Got it.
Black neighborhoods in particular can get targeted with incredible precision, and the stakes could not be higher here. Pollution is one of the driving factors behind conditions like heart disease, asthma, and even death, with Black Americans nearly 3 times as likely to die from exposure to pollution. And vast disparities can even exist within the same city, as this environmental expert breaks down.
Right now, the zip code is the most important predictor of health and well-being. You tell me your zip code, I can tell you how healthy you are. All zip codes are not created equal.
Really?
Yes. You can find zip codes that are adjacent to each other and have a life expectancy disparity of 10, 15 years, depending on what's in that neighborhood and what's not in that neighborhood.
Wow, that is grim. You can live 15 fewer years depending on your zip code. Black neighborhoods in particular can get targeted with incredible precision, and the stakes could not be higher here.
Yeah, so I mean, that's a very succinct summarization of like why environmental injustice is so bad. There are so many reasons to go into about why it is. First of all, there's a rise in pollution because low-income urban areas have higher concentrations of waste facilities, factories, and plants that release toxic chemicals. And with the rises in temperatures and the unstable weather, even higher amounts of rain, all that waste and pollution and toxin is being circulated and concentrated in those areas, right? Higher heat, if you have toxic gases being released from factories and plants in your neighborhood, they're going to be that much stronger. And people are inhaling this, they're drinking it in their water. It's everywhere around them. There's also, as a result, a rise in preventable diseases and health issues due to this exposure. And healthcare systems are becoming worse and worse because there's going to be a higher demand because more people are sick and there isn't the infrastructure to support these people. And it's also not addressing the core issue of why people are getting sick in the first place, which is these high concentrations of pollution and toxicity and chemicals. And low-income neighborhoods are more impacted by the severely worsening natural disasters that we've been talking about, that Danny and Ray both talked about. So, I mean, a great example of this, and we still reference this, and this was back in 2005, is Hurricane Katrina, right? The levees were blown up. Whatever it was, that impacted the lower income neighborhoods in North New Orleans, and more people from those neighborhoods and communities were displaced and are still displaced and have never been able to return home. because the severe natural disaster happened, and it's often the lower income areas that are sacrificed in order to protect higher income areas. And so this is not just a one case scenario. It's happened historically in our country, and it's happening around the world. Obviously, like climate justice and environmental justice extends beyond just the United States. It is developing countries that bear the brunt of the impact of climate change. They're experiencing even more climate change and crazy weather than we are here. And most of the CO2 that's entering the atmosphere is being produced by so-called developed nations, right? So our actions, our collective actions, but really the actions of these corporations and governments and larger entities are having an impact on people who don't have a say-so in what's going on. And I think that's the trend here. And while it's important that we definitely make changes on the day-to-day to try to lessen the impact of climate change, it's also important to understand that, you know, it's not the collective obviously can make a difference, but it's not me, you know, buying lettuce in a plastic bag that's causing the snow caps to melt. It's the fact that corporations decided we're not using paper anymore, we're not using cardboard anymore, everything needs to be wrapped in plastic. And so we have limited options in the ways that we consume because we're pushing, you know, a larger imperative, and we have to make choices in order to survive. So finding that balance between, you know, taking a stand and feeling empowered, but also understanding the systems at play and figuring out real ways to challenge them is the challenge of our generation, I feel like.
Well said. Well said. Thank you so much. And thanks for that clip. This is definitely something that we're going to be talking more about on the next discussion, which is our panel discussion that's coming up next week, Wednesday, same time, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard. And one of the things that, you know, we'll be talking about is what happens. How did that happen, right? How did the targeting of Black neighborhoods really happen? And also how it's interconnected with everything else. One of the things that, you know, I like to really talk about when I'm talking to folks is mass extinctions that are happening. Folks really, a lot of us, even now during this conversation, you might be like, well, okay, this is all horrible. It's all horrible. Yeah. So, you know, what does that have to do with me? What does mass extinction have to do with me? I'm not going in the woods, you know, right? But it's not about just whether or not we find other animals valuable. It's really about their inherent value. They're here because they have inherent value in the system. They're here because they actually make the system work. And what I'm talking about is the natural system, the ecosystems that we live in. We're not separate from them. And so one of the big ones, you know, Brenda earlier in the chat mentioned bumblebees, you know, pollinators are dying off, particularly because of a lot of the climate issues that we see, you know, the warming or cooling, just the changes in weather that evolutionarily animals, insects are animals as well, right? We can't keep up fast enough with the changes. Also, the overuse of pesticides is causing a lot of die-off. Bees, pollinators are not pests, right? But we're treating them as such. And so what's going to happen is that our food cannot actually grow. The food evolved with the pollinators, and so they are necessary. You know, wildlife in general and wild spaces are necessary to keep the urban spaces going. We cannot have a world of concrete and hope to survive, right? We cannot have brick and steel as the baseline for life on this planet. It doesn't work, you know, primarily because this planet is mostly water. There are so many species in the ocean that no one knows how many, right? But yet we're treating our oceans as if it's our dumping ground. And that has been going on for a very long time. And I'm not only talking, again, I'm so glad you mentioned, Jessica, it's not like a single person thing, right? There's areas of the world where the ocean is the bathroom, right? Because it brings stuff out. But then when people come and say, I'm going to build a hotel on the coastline, or companies come and disrupt the natural flow of things and build maybe plants, or some of these structures that disrupts the flow of things, then you get these deleterious effects, these bad things that happen that can cause mass die-offs. There's loss of habitat is really one of the across the board biggest reasons why there are these mass extinctions. There's more species that have gone extinct since we came around than from before. And that doesn't mean that we're at odds with the natural world. So when we think about that, and we think about the ways that we're doing things, one of the things that we don't get enough conversation around is the way animal agriculture is being done. And the way that animal agriculture is being done right now is not only cruel and just overall a process that doesn't work either for folks who maybe on the end of consumption, or the animals that are being held and put through this process. But it also, because of climate change, a lot of the diseases that can occur are actually ramping up and moving out of these spaces. So that's also something to think about, right? And there's even a lot of studies around why so much antibiotics are being given to animals in factory farming spaces, and what is happening to folks who consume said animals after their death when there's all of these antibiotics, right? So a lot of these antibiotics are not going to stop these zoonotic diseases, right? And also they're becoming resistant to the antibiotics because of this overuse. So it's multiple steps in the process that we have to consider. Now, we just spent a whole bunch of time talking to you and telling you, here are some of the things that we're experiencing right now. And why does this matter to us as Black folks? Well, it matters because a lot of folks aren't coming to talk to us about it. And we're not having these conversations. It's not necessarily a cookout conversation, right? But everything can't be a cookout conversation. However, we need to stop and think about these things so we can be together in community and actually have a cookout in the first place. Looking at some of the folks speaking in the chat, I see that Anita is happy. Congratulations. I see that you have a wedding coming up. I see all the beautiful stuff you're doing. You're using bamboo plates. You're giving out wildflower seeds as a party favor. I love that. These are the ways that we can change things. These are the ways that, cumulatively, as a community, as the beautiful array of communities that we are, we have this power, right? And once we start to change, then policymakers start to follow suit, then the companies lose the power also that they think that they have, right? So I see too, Bernadette, you're coming through telling Eating Our Way to Extinction is a good movie. Thanks so much for that. And there's a few other things that we can do as well. Just some, quick advice, right? To have these cookout conversations, but also things you may want to think about. One thing that I'm going to talk about quickly is energy consumption. This is something that, I don't know about you, but my grandmother would always say, come behind me and turn off the light as a child and say to me, why leave the light on? Right? I don't know how many people have a grandma like that, but she was right. Not only,
Right.
but she was thinking about money, right?
Right.
Yes, but if we reduce our energy consumption, that actually reduces the stress on the power plants. It reduces the need for more power plants. It stops the overuse of water to run said power plants. And also, you can choose things like LED lights. And a lot of you may not even know that your power company will oftentimes come and help you do these things or have discounts available, right? So it's really important to monitor that. And I think, Ray, you had mentioned too that there's like a choice of suppliers even in a lot of areas.
Yes,
That,
absolutely. There's several
yeah,
suppliers you can look up to find. And here's the bonus: these tend to be cheaper for delivery than some of your base energy suppliers. So don't think you're tied down to whatever energy supplier you had when you first moved in. You know, there's so many different options out now. Do your research. And there's some that even offer like rewards programs, depending. I'm with one particular one where I can get like airfare points just for paying my bill. But not to mention that it's also, again, it's cheaper, and they're an eco-conscious company. And I've been with them for years, and I'm not going anywhere because I can benefit.
yes, you're not going anywhere, so you could go somewhere,
Now, how
right?
about that?
Yeah, I've never on that. Other things that you can do. Hey, go vegan. Quite honestly, there are several different ways to be vegan. I'm not gonna like go down that road of talking about, or even trying to give anyone any prescription about, like what going vegan could look like for you. You're the one who's going to make that decision for yourself. But there is no doubt that a vegan lifestyle, plant-based eating, is something that is beneficial for the planet, and is something that is always going to make you think too, right? Because you're thinking about what's going on your plate, and that allows you to also, again, think through this process of production. How did this get to my plate, right? And there's also, when we think about the process of how things get to your plate, think about local. Really, eating vegan and eating local and in season is really a beautiful way to move the needle of climate change away from climate destruction. We are in crisis, no doubt about it, but there's still farmers out there farming to bring you your food. If that food did not have to fly on a plane, do all kind of ruminations to get to you, be sprayed with all kind of chemicals so that it could get ripe or stay ripe, right? But it was actually picked near you. It tastes different, it hit different, and it also has a lot less impact on the climate. And so there's two more things I'm going to tell you. The other thing is, as we talked about, reuse, and reduce consumption in general. You do not need to buy all the things. You do not, and again, in the next conversation coming up, we're going to be talking too about the ways that, even just the clothes we wear, there's opportunities out there. There's no new clothes that's needed, there's thrift stores that you can visit, all of these beautiful options for reusing. We talked about glass jars. We talked about ways to reuse plastic. We talked about aromatherapy. These are really great options for you. And lastly, really consider just flowing with nature. What do I mean by that? Using non-toxic products, right? That's not only better for you personally, but it's better for the planet. I know with us, a lot of times we think like, oh, if it don't smell like bleach, it's not clean, right? Or, you got to put down the Ajax and let it marinate for a little bit, let it cook, right? Well, there's a lot of products that you can use or you can even make yourself. You know, you don't need Ajax. You could use borax. Borax is less toxic. It is not something that is going to harm the planet. Baking soda, you know, you could sit that and let it marinate. And believe me, that is what I use: baking soda and good old elbow grease, right? And it also is a way to reduce water consumption. That's also another thing that we really want to consider. You know, I was telling that to someone and they told me, well, no water is coming out the tap. There's no shortage, you know? And I think he was being facetious, and that's cute. You know, you want to be sarcastic, that's fine. But, you know, it's not wrong. The water is coming out the tap. However, what does it take to get there and how long it's going to come out that tap? You know, how much work did it take to get to you? Right. So that's something we can consider when you're brushing your teeth. That water don't need to be running when you washing, you know, your vegetables, when you're washing your dishes. Those things, the water doesn't need to be running. So these are just some of the things that we can do. So we're wrapping up, but I see Tammy, and I think there was one other person saying that they're starting to grow their own food. I love that. I love all these beautiful contributions to the conversation. And we were asking you, you know, what are your hacks? There were some really good hacks here in the comments. And we did have a winner here. I see Anita, if you're still around, Anita Green, who is going to be having a wedding soon, but also is is doing several things to be eco-conscious. Yay, I'm so glad to hear that. And so you have a congratulatory present in winning. We just happened to pick that out. I have a little randomizer on my computer. And so with that, I would love for you to just email us, Afro-Vegan Society at gmail.com. Did I get that right? Yes, thank you so much, moderator. Appreciate Aminsa and Jess for who are also part of our team for moderating today. Thank you all for coming through. Any last words from our folks here, from our team? Anything anyone wants to say? Thanks so much.
I wanted to say this has been great. We hope that you've been enjoying our Earth Month programming, especially these Wednesday lives. We've got 3 down and a very, very important one coming up next week. The reason why we titled this "Who Invited Climate Change to the Cookout," because it kind of goes hand in hand. You know what I mean? We're coming together as a people. We come, we converse, we spend time together. You know, if we don't pay attention to these things that are affecting our climate, affecting our environment, there won't be any coming together. Like if you can kind of think of that scene in Terminator where like you have people out on the playground and all of a sudden there's this blast and then like everything starts destructing and there's fire everywhere and things like that. Like it seems like it's extreme, but little by little, this is what's happening in the environment. So whether it be by fire, whether it be by the oceans coming up and washing us away or anything like that, like it's really serious. And while it's always good for us to come together and just chit chat about, I don't know, you know, the latest thing we saw on TV, we also need to talk about like the latest company that's doing destruction to our neighborhoods or the local produce stores and how we need to get out to there to support the local produce or things like that. These are things we need to incorporate into these conversations so that we can help save ourselves, save our family, save our home, save our planet.
Love that. All right. Oh, Jessica, you're saying something?
Yes, thank you. I just want to say I think that this has been a really great start to this conversation, and it's so great to have this space to bring these things to the forefront and frame them, because as much as there are so many people doing amazing like climate justice work and environmental justice work, there aren't that many places that are also talking about how going vegan fits into the equation. So it's great to like be at that intersection with you all, having these discussions and participating with our amazing community. And I also just wanted to say that if you all are looking for a new climate-friendly plant-based recipe to try, we have a brand new recipe on the YouTube channel for crispy tofufish tacos. So it's vegan fish tacos made with tofu. And you can also find the written recipe on the website.
Yes, thank you so much for that.
And on the website, along with all of these amazing recipe, there are other recipes along with guides to help you make the transition to a vegan diet or lifestyle. And I did want to remember, do not forget about our Earth Day sale. If you go to Afro-Vegan Society.org, you can click the banner at the top and get you one of these fly totes. All right. And the water bottles that Ray just had up. Use code ECOAVS20 for 20% off. And you're not just going to get 20% off the water bottles and the totes. Everything in our store is 20% off. So definitely grab you some AVS merch and be sure that you are subscribed or following us so that you don't miss the next live and all the content that we have coming.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for being a part of this conversation. And have a beautiful rest of the day. Go outside. See you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.